back after a hiatus.
What's up?
What's up?
This is
How
crazy.
you guys doing?
Are you in a
Doing
work?
good.
I'm in a, yeah, it's called Workbox. I'm in the phone booth.
It's called the Goy Box.
It's called the Goy Box.
I'm in the
new
box.
brand.
Workbox, yeah. There's like another guy in the same area. It's called like, I'm not completely.
You have to share your Goy Box with another guy.
It's a half Goy. You don't even have a full Goy Box. It's just a
dude.
half.
We're just about to see the gas like slowly like drift down, and then he has to take his clothes off.
No, I have something important to say, which is that. Well, no, I'm in the pod. I'm in the little phone pod.
Wait,
Yeah.
what do you have important to say?
It's actually not important. Hold on. I think there's echo because I'm playing you guys.
Your
twice. Hold
mic
on.
kind of sounds like shit.
Yeah.
No,
It's, like,
we
really
can hear
scratchy.
you though. You sound fine to us, basically. I mean, you sound a
Wait,
little far
really?
away, but
No,
Yeah,
he's
I
popping
haven't-
back and forth. I'm not hearing it. Right.
Oh, my
He's
connector
not coming
dude.
through
can
well.
hear him.
I guess.
I can hear. you.
I can switch to AirPods. I was trying to use the nice mic. Hold on.
Now maybe it's a
Is
little
that
better.
Okay, sorry, I got the connection box. No, it's not important. It's just that Grant is from like 5 miles from my house in Cincinnati. And so he's not a Yankee, and you're wrong.
Ah,
So Cincinnati is the
Appalachian.
Midwestern.
Would you call him an
one.
Appalachian
Yeah,
man?
Yeah.
Or I guess Ohio
No.
Valley, River Valley.
Ohio Valley. That's exactly right. That's when we
Right.
had that seminar. That's where you were like, "What? Wait, was it the South or the North?"
Yeah. Okay.
And then Sarab got really mad because he was like in his bow tie, and he was like, "No, just pay attention. Like, hold on, we're telling you." That's when he and I became friends because we had a tiff
Interesting.
beforehand. So I remember that night clearly.
We smoked several packs of Dunhills. Is what I remember.
Yeah,
Butterworth.
he smokes
Ooh.
Dunhills. That's a thing.
Good cigarette. Good businessman cigarette.
It was
It really
very
is.
elegant.
When I'm in Africa, I always smoke those because they're like the only decent cigarettes you can get. And then sometimes you get them and they're like, because they're counterfeit, and like you take a puff and like half the cigarette like burns, like and like it just disappears really fast and doesn't taste like anything. And you're like, fuck. And you just bought a carton of that. It kind of sucks.
I just bought some Mexican parliaments, and they taste so much better than American parliaments. It's
Are they like?
unbelievable.
Did you buy them like they're counterfeited Mexican like Santee Alley parliaments, or they're like
No, I bought them
they're
in
the
Mexico.
actual? I see.
I got them in Mexico, and just compared to the American parliaments, they're so tasty and good. They have that like nice tobacco-y taste, you know,
Well,
like that.
That's because they're made with the real cane sugar. It's not the
Yeah.
high fructose corn syrup.
Just like the Mexican
Organic
Coke. It's the
cigarette.
same exact thing, same recipe. It's you're smoking Mexican Coke.
It doesn't have
Yeah.
the microplastics. Yeah. Is Hestia still around? Is Hestia sponsoring you guys? Are you guys?
Well,
or
we're
no?
talking to him now.
Yeah.
So no, he's had
You're
all
like a
kinds
Hestia
of
like
difficulty.
laundering project?
Yeah, no, he's had all kinds of crazy stuff happen recently. Like all kinds of, I think Big Tobacco tried to like just clamp down on him fully. Like I think he got the full wrath of,
Wait, really?
Big Tobacco. Yeah, and so I mean he's still fighting the fight. And if I have faith in anybody winning any sort of fight, it's definitely David Slay. Like that
That's
motherfucker's not going to lay
That's
down. But
so funny because I texted him like a few months ago, just being like, "How's it going?" or something. I don't remember, and he was like, "It's great. We're in stores in Texas." And then I
so he
talked
is.
to like two reporters who were like, maybe he was like, "We're about to be into stores in Texas." But I talked to these two reporters who were like, "So, like some of these brands that were flash in the pan," and I was like, "Actually, Hestia has fully succeeded." And like they were like, "Okay, take it as a gospel." So I hope that I was helping him out. I might have been completely wrong, but
well, no, maybe he is. Maybe he's back. Maybe I gotta talk to him. But yeah, no, he was having like a hard time. They were shut down for like a little while, but I hope that they're still producing and they're back. That's great news if so. I gotta check into that.
it's actually embarrassing. But this isn't a branding. This isn't like a right-wing cross promotion. I'm not trying to do this actually, but I got completely addicted to the Alp. And so the reason I'm in Virginia as opposed to DC right now is I had to come and find Alp as opposed to the French Velo, or I don't know if it's French, but I get it in France. And then the Alp is so much better that I rode a bike 7 miles to get here and then got stuck in the rain. At a coworker.
Are you a former smoker? Did you get on the Alp as a way to quit smoking?
For sure. I mean, it was a whole thing because they didn't sell it in California. So I was like, I'm going to try this. I tried it, and it was like the only thing where I fully stopped smoking. And then my mom was sending it to me. And then she was like, well, I don't know. I looked, it's 9% nicotine. And so we stopped. And I was trying to get TaskRabbits to send it. And then I gave up and started smoking again. So I think I was smoking when I saw you guys in Mexico, and I had my last Alp. And then now you can get it like in stores and stuff. So if you just go on a road trip, you can get it. Like I found it this like Mexican. There was one tin of it in a Mexican tienda in Del Rio, and I like looked on the like find Alp here thing, and I went in and I was like, do you have the Alp? And they were like, what is going on? And they got really weirded out, and it was $11, but I got it. So that got me through Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. You one time gave me a like 8 the highest milligram of
that was the
one
funniest.
of those after a dinner, and I literally was gonna die. I had to go immediately home. I was like, I just pooped.
I don't think you
puked everywhere. It was just I cannot.
Because you were with you
it was
were
insane.
with the young woman who you were yelling at not to marry a goy who got murdered.
Oh yeah, who did later got murdered. Not the woman, the goy.
Not the woman.
The goy was later murdered.
You were like mid-parading her, like he has a vasectomy, and then you just started started sweating.
No, and I literally was like, I am going to fucking die, dude.
To be honest, I still don't
intense.
think that an unflavored Zin 6 was what threw you over the edge. I think it
That
might have
was
been the 6 bottles of wine.
well, because when I smoke cigs, which is a lot, I just like maybe I don't like I inhale. I try to inhale, but maybe I kind of like
It's
don't
a whole different
do it
ball
all
game.
the way.
Same thing
You
happened
know
to
what I
me.
mean? Like maybe I don't like really just put it all the way in, and this was just like total death.
Andrew Isker
Instant
did that to me
fucking
with
death.
like an 8 milligram or 6 milligram. And I passed out in Nashville in the bathroom, and a little Hispanic woman that was cleaning the bathroom came in, and she goes, "Oh, adios mio." And then they brought in like 12 small Hondurans from the kitchen to drag me out. It was like they were pulling out.
It's like Gulliver's Travels. It's the new Gulliver's Travels.
Literally, like I was this giant, fat, dead white piece of trash, and they were all like, "Okay," and it was just like Oompa Loompas carried me out of this fucking bathroom on the rooftop at Jackson 20 or whatever in Nashville. It was fun. It was the building you were staying in, I think, Isaac.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On that rooftop. But that is the Alps is that's a Tucker Carlson, Neil Patel creation.
Yeah, although it's actually, I mean, I guess they did it, but it's like one of these like Louisville small, it's like little tobacco company. It's the people who make maybe not Rizla. Yeah, Rizla. It's the people who make what's the rolling papers that have the French guy with the pipe and the little
zigzags?
Yeah, it's the people who make zigzags.
Zigzag.
So do you like Alp because it's an anti-Semitic product, or do you just not care about the fact that it's an anti-Semitic product?
But that's the thing is I was like, oh, I'm gonna try an Alp. I've heard so much about this. I saw a scandal. RFK did it like in his confirmation hearing. No, I was at the Wagon Box actually, and Josh Centers had some, and I tried it, and then I guess Josh Centers wanted to promote anti-Semitism, and so he gave me the tin, and then I was addicted.
Wait, can we ask? You probably can't say, but you can definitely say no comment. But can we get your take on Tucker today?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tucker's like the greatest living American novel.
Wait, novel? What?
Yeah, I think Tucker's like on a journey that is like Melvillian in scale, and he's like, he's gone from like the versions of being who Tucker is now are like, you're a regime functionary and you live in Cleveland Park and you have a nice life, option one. Option two is like, your dad was Tucker's dad or Bridge Colby's dad, and you become Bridge Colby, and you're like, okay, everything's falling apart, and I'm gonna like try to fix it. Like, I'm in this thing I was raised in this thing, and I'm gonna do this thing. And then you're Tucker, and you're like, okay, there's all this stuff that was a lie. Maybe everything's a lie. I'm gonna sort it out in like a complete messy girl fashion, like in front of everyone. And like, I don't know if he'll survive it. I don't know if we'll survive it, but like, when he comes through this, like, we're gonna have learned a lot. And like, this is not a defense or an attack on Tucker. I'm not trying to talk down to him. I'm not trying to say he's right about stuff. It's just like, if you look at the process of him being like, wait, hold on, how does it work? And like, just like him going, and there's like more that the hard thing with Tucker is that like there's stuff that he knows that he doesn't say, and you wonder why, right? So it's like, the big story that everyone is living through is that in 1973, the Shah conned Nixon into being allowed to raise oil prices by nearly like 2.5 times. And that shut down our industrial economy. Chuds depend on the industrial economy. Chuds were destroyed. Chuds got mad. We developed a security state to control Chuds. Everything broke, and like, America sucks now. That's the story. That's the fact of the matter. And then we did all this stuff to like basically get Middle Eastern oil people to send money back onto our markets, which made rich people who started voting Democratic, like, it just kept rewarding them more and more. And the way you keep that system going is by fucking the heartland of the country more, because the more you devalue the economy, the more you can funnel assets back into the markets, right? The assets coming back, now I sound like Tucker, but just the way it works is the bigger your trade deficit, the more capital comes in, the higher your capital account is. And so that makes all the coastal liberals and all the tech guys and everybody else richer. And so the logic of the system is heighten that contradiction. So the more you fuck the heartland, the more you make San Francisco, New York rich. And so like, that's the story. And there's a lot to that story, and it doesn't like really look good for anyone. And like, Tucker has his version of recapitulating it. But the thing is that like in 2012, no one knew it really. Like, everybody just kind of forgot that happened. And like, we made a lot of money doing that stuff. And so everybody was like, the only result is that Ford plants closed. So like, it's not that big of a deal. That was the story of the Obama thing. It was like, we're going to help you guys. But like, really, we can't help you, because like, the logic of this thing is we just keep doing that. And everyone got mad. And that's what like Steve Bannon basically got Trump elected by doing in 2016, that like closing argument thing, where he said this stuff, but in like super incendiary language. He was like, it's a global conspiracy, which is sort of true. And so my point is that everyone who kind of figures out their lens on like why that happened and who's at fault and why everything went bad, like, retells it through a frame that then like makes the thing they want to have happen like more likely, right? And like, it's literally true that like Israel, used this situation in ways that were very nefarious. Like, so that's one lens on it, right? Like, I want America to go back to being like a Jeffersonian place, where instead of like in the capital structure, the actual real political fight in America is always like, since Hamilton and Jefferson, it was like, do people who take large risks and deploy a lot of capital get the rewards, or do people who exercise thrift and hard work get all the rewards? And there's been a push and pull throughout American history. Just since that system came into being, there's only been push, there's been no pull. And there's a lot of people who just like want to make sure that it stays that way. That's
that's kind of an interpretation of Chihuahua only swims left.
Yeah, literally.
Kind of,
and
right?
And like,
yeah.
And so like, the whole AI story, like, no one even understands this because they don't understand how our system works. But like, every time you listen to the All In pod, and it's like, are we going to keep rewarding the creators? Or are we going to like make socialism? It's like, well, no, the actual thing is like, are we going to stop having infinity fake money that flows in or metro areas like that made your life possible?
Yeah.
And like they don't want that to happen, and so you have to keep like churning this thing, and so we have to fight this war because like 50% of the assets that are 50% of the assets like funding the data center build out come from the Gulf. So like if we lose the war, like everything goes away. So everything's like connected into this thing, right? And then people are going to retell it. So like I could be like, look, it's the endless wars. That's what did it. It was always about the endless wars. It was defense industrial.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right. Like,
dude, this is a great take. I hope you're fucking writing this somewhere. But this is amazing.
Don't stop.
Yeah, no, really good.
Right now.
No, but I do want to know where is Tucker? What is Tucker's? What is his outcome? What is his?
I mean, my relationship was falling apart like all around me because like every time Antonio's like, so like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, like we go to dinner, like look at the beef prices. That's because of the assets. And it's like I'm living the same thing. So I'm saying like Tucker's doing it in front of everyone, right? And he's like, and that's I'm like very sympathetic to that because you're like I talked to him. I don't think he'd mind if I said this, but I texted him like months ago being like, what's your take on Besant? And he called me like immediately. And we talked for 3 hours.
Wow.
And it was interesting. I don't really want to repeat the conversation, but it was like very easy to talk to him. It was the first time I'd actually talked to him on the phone, and I don't know, like I still get nervous sometimes when you're like a famous, you're like, okay, like let me do it in an hour. Like you want to like get this a famous person, you know, I still get that. And it was like, it wasn't at all crazy. It was like talking to a very, very easy to talk to, very smart person. And I asked him, I think it's fine to say this. I asked him like, so what, like, okay, so right, there's this realization point where you're like, this is not a republic, this is an empire, fine, whatever. And like, it's funded by all this stuff. And like, just like a lot of stuff you thought, like the capitalism, like you make money by like working hard. Like that's not true. And like
yeah, that's definitely
not go up because of like the stuff that with the value. That's not true. Okay, fine. But then you're like, so like, why did we do that? Because that happened kind of like after 1945, and there was a reason, and it was like this thing that like, you know, his dad was like a part of, where you're like, well, we take on the burden of running the world, right? And so I asked him sort of like, that's kind of the thing. Like if it was a conspiracy, like that's the conspiracy. And like who got together and decided that was worth doing? And one option that then sends you into, you know, like pretty dark places. You're like, well, it's because the Jews made us, or like the Jews convinced us or something, right? And then there's like other people who are driven mad by Roosevelt because it's like, which is like weirdly more true, but it's like Roosevelt and Winston Churchill made us because they like got together and decided that was the course to do. Like, and so like that was the thing with Martyr Made. He was like, he went on Tucker's thing and was like trying to talk about that, but kind of like didn't. I mean, I didn't listen to it, so I don't want to. Now people are gonna be like, I was defending Martyr Made on Mama's podcast.
No, I don't.
But I think that there's like another option where you're like, it's the guys who dress like everyone in the film The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, which is actually quite a good movie for like, if you want to understand like really like what this thing looked like when it started. Like, and I sort of come down more on that, right? And so like, that's like Tucker's dad. So it's like this Oedipal thing. I don't want to read too much into it, but there's, you know, like there's a thing where it's like he was raised in this, and then it's kind of like if you're in La Jolla, but you're around it. So you're like, you were around all these people who were doing this stuff where you like knew them, but you were in La Jolla, not Georgetown. So you didn't like really understand any of it. And like you
and your mom left you to go join David Hockney's entourage, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really, that's an even, I mean, that was always my sort of hero journey with him, was his mom leaving to be like a gay member of Hockney, and his mom is the Wasp, and I think his dad is the Swede.
The Swede,
so, you know, like, so I think he was like, you know, that was what his sort of inciting incident. But yeah, it's interesting. The dad story, I don't even really know.
Yeah, with the dad, there's something too with the Carlsons. I don't know if these are the same Carlsons, but there was a Governor Carlson of Minnesota whose mom, like they were so poor that the mom held the doctor at knife point to do like an appendectomy on like one of the kids or something. Like, so that's the other thing, right? Is like if you have this kind of like thrifty white Jeffersonian chip on your shoulder, in and around people who are like, we love to get rewarded for the risk and the capital deployment. Like, it just makes you insane. That's my experience at DC a little bit. And like, I'm pretty good at not going insane, or like, I'm pretty good at just like chilling with anyone. But like, I can like, I just go to places and I hear the way people talk like about the world as though it's so easy, and like there's something that just like breaks in your brain where you're like, no, it's built on the back of hard work, it's built on the back of do stuff, and you're like and like that, to me, that's like the whole story of the Trump movement. Not people don't even necessarily put it that way, but that's what people feel like. There's something, that's why everyone's like, we're gonna make it real again. That's what literally they mean. That's, they're gonna like make money correspond to work again. That's what that has always meant. And I think what has made people really insane, and Tucker above all, is that they got in, they were like, never mind. That part we weren't going to do. And that, like, literally part of that is Israel's fault. But it's just a lot of other people's fault, too.
Well, where does the populism come from with Tucker? That's what I think is interesting, because there's like, as he's workshopping a lot of this stuff in real time, I think that's what freaks people out. It's like, oh, you're no longer like a right-wing conservative. Now you're sort of like I'm a populist. It almost seems like, first and foremost, in some ways.
Well, but this is always the thing, right? Is like, it's functionally not possible to be a populist if you're right wing, in the sense that being a Republican from 1973 until literally today meant you are by definition like against the working class. It's just factually true, because your whole way that you think America should make money is to extract value from that and to encourage huge pools of capital to be in one place, which encourages people not to do productive investment, but to do rent seeking, which is why everyone's like, oh my God, our economy feels parasitic. It's like, well, right. It's because all of the money that you have is designed for parasitism. And like the same people who are like, we should stop doing that, we're going to do dynamism. It's like, you're not going to do that, because that would mean that you lost money. Like, what you want is the government to give you personally some money to do dynamism and do reindustrialize, but to keep everything else the same. And that's not going to work. And if it does, it's going to be communism. And that's what they're asking for. So like, that sucks. And like, Tucker doesn't want that to happen. So he's like, not a Republican, like, which is justifiable. Like, I'm just sorry. Like, it's just.
Wait, but say a little more about that. Like, what do you mean that they want everything to stay the same, but then they want to get money to do dynamism, but that's not the right solution? Is that what you're saying?
Okay,
like, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so like right now, if the stock market goes down at all, like to quote Jensen Huang, the world ends, right? And like the entire stock market is 7 tech stocks, and everything in San Francisco right now is just spin-off of like asset flows to companies like that, not necessarily those, because a lot of them are private, so you can't like the public can't even invest in them, but they're like, our economy depends on them. So everything like flows to stuff like that, and then it spins off to like whatever stupid, like, we're gonna make an AI glasses date rape thing, and like, fine, so it like drives a lot of economic activity. That's great. But so like, by definition, if like to build a fertilizer plant so that if America can no longer produce missiles to secure the Strait of Hormuz, like, you have to build physical infrastructure, and that infrastructure is a 30-year investment, and it requires physical labor, physical construction, and it pays off in 30 years at 5%. The market, to keep this going, has to keep going up at like 17% a year, and all these people have to keep like rolling it in, right? So how are you going to finance a fertilizer plant. Who's going to give you money when you can put it in the Mag 7 and get those returns? That's not going to keep working if you want to do the dynamism. So what everyone's doing is saying, well, the government's going to fund it, or the government's going to do incentives or whatever, right? So, I mean, I'm making it too simple, but like what they're saying is we're going to do communism. We're going to have state-directed military industrial communism to do the dynamism, because we can't do the dynamism by like making it possible for like us guys to like start a bar, because like that, it's the same process too. Like that's why every bar in America is profitable but has to close, because like the top of the system keeps getting more and more money, and so the wealth effect is just like 7 rich ladies who have huge asset inflation benefits every year, and so they're going to buy more handbags, and your bar has to close. So like you can make a block of a city with 1 Louis Vuitton store and 1 Dwayne Reed, and that is a better investment than 6 profitable small businesses.
Right.
Like it's just like there's a reason why this is hard to peel back from, and I'm sympathetic to that, and like I get it, and I think I know for a fact Scott Bessent had a plan to peel back from it. I also know for a fact that like it was actively impeded by all the fucking dynamism people who were like, fuck it, we're gonna do AI and that'll solve everything. It'll be a one-time productivity boost that will just get us out of this. And so like, you know, it's just because the first step to doing this is reducing our current account deficit, which involves reducing our federal deficit. And nobody wanted to do that, because if you reduce the federal deficit, that reduces liquidity in the system, that reduces the asset flows coming back. And so they were like, fuck that, we're not going to do that.
That was Scott Bessent's plan, you're saying?
Yeah, that was his 333 plan. And like they just fucked up Doge. They never took that seriously. Like, to be more sympathetic to those guys, like, okay, fine. Like, we were never going to find $1 trillion to cut from the federal budget. So like, how stupid could Bessent have been to think that 333 could have worked? Fine, fair. But like now, literally Dean Ball, who wrote the administration's AI action plan, said to me on the record, America is a leverage bet on AI. Like that's the whole
thing. Damn. That's crazy.
So like people don't get that when they're like, fuck data centers, but this is what they're talking about. They're like, I don't want to have my government backed asset inflation funding this thing that sucks and is going to kill me. Well, but also just like sucks because it's like everything these people have already given me is like rent-seeking parasitism and like Google validation.
Well, what's funny
want this shit anyway.
Yeah, I think you're in the bandwagon presented itself, and it was easy to get behind because it presented a vision of the next 10 years, and so it was easy to go, oh well, guys, we're fighting China, we're fighting. It's almost like terrorism in 2001. It's like, guys, this is like the biggest existential threat, and so everybody jumps on board. And there's part of me that's like, hey man, we need the data centers, we need it. And I think it's like the same sort of that fear of like, man, we need to fight terrorism. Those guys could be anywhere. It's the same sort of thing. And so the industrial complex and the government is all in, and they're like, no, this makes sense. This is what all the smart people are doing. This is the smart bet. And we're all along for the ride. Yeah, I think that's like spot on.
The thing about it though, so maybe to defend the Trump administration here, like, well, okay. All right. The thing about that sucks is like people came in and they sold this lie that was like, if we get there 2 months before China, then like everything will change. And like that, okay, fine. Like I think that was just a flat out lie, but leave that aside for a minute. The average data center takes 6.5 tons of copper to produce. The United States mines some copper. We smelt effectively no copper. So and you can do this for every fucking metal you want. You can go to silver, tin, aluminum, whatever, right? Like, we don't really smelt stuff. If you look at the actual supply chains, not this stupid stuff that people do, which is like, oh, we're going to start refining rare earths, like it's going to be fine. No, I mean, like, you need a brass nut that goes on that specific thing that's threaded that specific way. And you need if you're going to replace that brass nut supplier in Vietnam or China, you need a factory that takes 10,000 more of those little kinds of parts. And you have to figure out a way to procure or build all of those. And that's like everything you have. That's your stove. That's anything. It's thousands upon thousands of supply chain substitutions to get anywhere with like bringing production back to the United States. And then you think about that in light of data centers, and you're like, dude, unless the one-time productivity boost is like we go to the stars tomorrow, then like what we're talking about like for America's future security is something really different. Because if something slips in this thing, and like China probably won't invade Taiwan because they have the same problem. Like 80% of their energy and like 80% of their energy comes from somewhere else, I think, or maybe 80% of the liquid energy, whatever. Or like everyone there eats pigs and they don't produce any stuff, farm stuff. And that's why they're doing all the like rainmaking, like they're trying to cloud seed so they can have some livestock production. But like right now, if they invaded Taiwan, they would starve too. Everyone would just starve if anything goes wrong. That's the whole like sort of Strait of Hormuz thing. But like data centers don't do shit about that. And like anyone who really worried that we were going to get like a leg up that would never be bridged again would just hit that button, because they'd be like, fuck that. And they could stop us in so many different ways with literally no effort. And so like the whole thing was, it does just make you wonder, like, did anyone do the math? Like, was anyone like this isn't like super hard stuff to figure out, you know? And so you kind of think like people did do the math and they just knew this was bullshit. And that's where you get, I don't really know. You know, I just got here.
We are at war with China, though. Like, have you read Unrestricted Warfare? Have you heard about Unrestricted Warfare?
Yeah, but
like we really are. Like it is true that it's not bullshit that China has been using every possible avenue to wage war against America for 30 years, almost. I mean, 25 years. And, you know, our mayor in Arcadia, right next door, just got shut down for being an asset. I mean, it really is. They really are waging war against us, like right now. They really are. And I'm not saying data centers are the solution to that. They're probably not. But it is true that it's not like China is not doing that.
Do you guys know the term geoeconomics?
No.
Sure.
Which Edward, welcome to extremely gay future. It's what Edward Lubac predicted would like shape great power competition in the future, and it's
great. Yeah, this is the new thing. We're in the world of great power competition. What is that?
I don't. The language of warfare through the grammar of commerce.
Yes.
Because like
that makes sense.
It's too much interconnected, and this is a whole thing in warfare, right? Like people before World War I thought like, well, no, everyone. Like the economies are too linked, like it'll cause a crash if they have the war, which was true. It just came later. So like there's a way in which that's bullshit. It's just now like I don't know. I'm trying not to sound like whoa really crazy. It's just like I started reading the reports that like guys, geopolitical analysts who are like super normie, who like consult for Louis Vuitton, consult for finance clients, like these guys, and it's like their middle range 10-year projection is like famine, new dark age. And you're like, okay, so
little dark age.
We're talking about like, data centers, like they're gonna like cure cancer. It's like no, and like they're not gonna cure cancer because there's no economic incentive to do that.
They're not gonna cure cancer anyway.
They're gonna find ways to just extract value from like the 12 W-2 earners left in America. Like that's the whole incentive. And I'm
with you. Look, I'm with you on that. I'm just saying I am not sold on AI at all. All I know is AI is the compound interest of SaaS. So it's like if SaaS was a bank that we already weren't too sure about, AI is the predatory loan on top of that because it charges you. People don't realize. We talk about this all the time. We argue about it because we pay for it all the time.
Right.
You don't know what you're paying before you do it.
Right.
So it's like healthcare. It's like, oh, I went to the hospital and I got my arm sewed up. Oh, that was $16,000. I had no idea. Yeah. That's how it is with AI too. You don't know what it's going to cost. So you're saying, oh, can I have my website do this? And then it'll be like, yeah, that was $47.50. You know, they send you like a random amount. It's just like compound interest. It's like, oh, I have a loan. It was like, look, we have this magical calculator that nobody can replicate, and you owe this amount.
Well,
at the end of the month.
it's the scam economy. It's like it's like being a tourist in Morocco or something. It's like, okay, that rug is $6,500.
Yeah, that rug is.
Like,
oh,
no,
it feels like it's $74.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like whatever it is.
Well, that is where
exactly
China is going to beat us, though, because their tokens are so much cheaper for their models.
Well,
No, I'm
right.
serious.
I mean,
like by 10x. Like you have like Anthropic is like 10 times more expensive than the current Chinese model. I think
Chinathropic.
well, like, okay, so
China's got a bunch of good AI models that are just as good as ours, and they're cheap.
Can we use them? Can we get them?
Yeah,
we can use
that's
them.
what they do. Them,
And that's the fear tactics that Anthropic and OpenAI are using. They're saying, I want more money from the government to basically subsidize the amount of compute that I need in order to make, because otherwise we lose to China and all of our businesses start using Chinese models. And half of those Chinese models you're basically giving all your data to China anyway. So you have to, there is the argument that like, in order to fight China, we have to open up all these models to the consumer, and our government doesn't really want that to happen.
well, so okay, then this is the end of my little like political economic tour of the world, because the thing I'm trying to explain is like, we're not a system and they're a system. We're two halves of a system, and like our half of the system incentivizes like parasitism, asset inflation.
Yeah,
like,
and they have the slaves. They have the
consumption,
slaves that we
and
need.
their half of the system incentivizes like endless production and zero consumption. Basically, like that's like the whole point of how everything was set up. And I'm not saying it was set up on purpose like that, but after like 2000, it was completely set up like that because they saw the logic of the system and they were like, oh, cool. So like they'll have a massive like consumer demand sink, and we will design our system to like respond to that incentive. And so then we'll produce everything in the world. And then when you get to something like this, where it's like America, leader of innovation, because like I'm not anti-AI, that's not my point. But if you're like America, leader of innovation, but the innovation like suddenly, all of a sudden, like isn't just like somebody building like way more apps than other people and figuring out ways to like steal data more effectively than anyone else in the world can. When it's like the innovation is driven by actual energy inputs and resource inputs to build stuff so the innovation can happen more quickly, well, who the fuck is going to win? Because their whole system is built to produce stuff. And so like, that's why we have to like go to war to like take all the energy in the world. Because otherwise like that's the only input we have to control. Like other than like reducing our demand, in which case everyone in America will like lose their asset inflation, then they'll be sad. So we can't do that. So we have to conquer Venezuela and we had to conquer Iran, and like, whoops, it didn't work. So now we're fucked. And like, now they're going to win the AI race because we can't control their energy inputs. Like, welcome to the world. Like this is like actually the stuff that I think that's what I was trying to say about Tucker. Is like, once you start talking like this, on the one hand, you're like, finally, we're talking about real shit. On the other hand, you're like, I'm a madman. And like, you know, and because of the way the media system's set up, like what people do is they go on, like Ro Khanna, you know, he's obsessed with this shit. But Ro Khanna, he goes on, he's like, well, the Epstein class, they really screwed over both working class whites and working class brown people. Yeah, because they don't, it's just too hard to go on and sound like a crazy person. And so they have to like come up with like jingo terms to like try to make you kind of mad about something you kind of don't understand. And Tucker's option is just to be like, everything's a lie, and I'll tell you everything I think about it. And you know, like the future of America is going to be like one or the other, or like everything's fucked. But like the future of America where we like come out of this system into something else is like either like the Tucker approach will win, or like a more technocratic Ro Khanna approach will win. and like things will like work. Like Roe is like, well, yeah, okay, we're like completely fucked with debt, but like let's just invest really smart, and then like the investments will bring growth like faster than the debt accumulates, so like everything will be fine. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess maybe. Well, technically everything you said is true. And then you listen to Tucker and he's like, think about it, it's over. So I don't know.
Well, do you think
Was this helpful? Do I sound insane?
No, I think it's super helpful, but isn't 2028 battle lines are going to be technocrats and JD Vance and, you know, neocons in Israel and Rubio, it's looking like.
But I don't think that's right. Or
interesting.
Well, so okay.
And I don't
want to like take
my question.
His hand.
I think that is true. Maybe I'm wrong, but then I'm wondering how does DeSantis fall into that, and then like, what does that mean in 2 years? What are the ideologies that are, because the right has its fractures already. But like, I don't think Israel is going to be as big of a deal. Like the true, like, I don't think Dan Bilzerian is going to be a factor. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like the low IQ anti-Semitism is going to be as big of a deal as like what you're talking about.
Well, so there, like, it's hard because you have to kind of extrapolate out some trends here, and like some of this stuff could change, right? If Trump, I mean, he's not going to do this, but like, you know, because it's like every Friday at like the exact minute the market closes, he's like, we're going to fuck them up. And then Monday, he's like, peace deal. Because it's like he's terrified of the market. Like, right. he just, that's the game here, right? But like, if something happens and like one of these idiots is like, I got an idea. Like, you know, I'm in DC right now. It's on the TV right now. They're like asking everyone in the Pentagon right now, like, any good ideas to fuck them up. And like, if somebody has a really not great idea that seems to Trump like a good idea, and like this thing spirals, then like we're just talking about something where like America as we knew it could be like over, or like the world as we knew it could be over. Like, it's not completely that, it's not even like a weird thing to contemplate. Like, what happens if actually there just was a crazy 6-month period in the Middle East and everything we knew about the economy has just changed? If that's not the case and they manage to just like keep going with what they're doing, imagine like the anger and populism and like rising redistributionist AOC stuff now, but extrapolated out 2 years at a faster rate, right? Yeah. So like your chances of beating an AOC, to me, I'm like, who cares who wins? I just think it's like the most populist sounding Democrat is your odds on favorite right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be Newsom. We're going to get the Newsom Reich. I think there's going to be like a DSA insurgent who comes. Not as president. It's too early for that.
I think Trump will win. Trump was an insurgent that sort of tried to outflank.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. The insurgents do surprise.
I think there's going to be a leftist who seems reasonable, but is going to try and outflank from the left. He's going to, because if that person wins over like a Bill Maher, you know what I mean? That's like, I will never support a socialist, but if they get somebody in there who's like a sweet talker, but is actually a leftist, I agree. I think they'll be.
But the person who wins the Democratic nomination is not going to be able to go on Bill Maher. Like
interesting.
The Grand Rapids, Michigan Democratic Party today, like this just came out. They were hosting a fundraiser at the bar next door to their office. And the bar issued a public apology to the community for hosting Haley Stevens' fundraiser because they were like, we support Palestine. Like, that's in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Wow, but Michigan, to be fair, Michigan has a HICLIB. That would not happen in LA, for example. But, you know, they have a HICLIB problem in Michigan. That's the worst in the country.
It wouldn't happen in the ritzy areas where you traffic now. But
No, but I mean, it wouldn't happen. That just wouldn't. Nobody gives a fuck enough.
Well,
that's a
I mean,
hicklib. That's a hicklib thing to do that. Nobody cares.
I think you're crazy. I was down at those immigration protests. It was like war.
No, dude, I'm not saying that that's not all real. I'm just saying that.
But that's who drives it. And I'm not saying I'm not. This is not like an anti-democratic party thing. It's like that's who drives politics. Is the like 5% of people who are most energetic. And for a long time, the Democrats have just had the 5% of people who are most energetic be the music theater B+ like Swarthmore grads, and like that's going away.
Okay, so who's the new 5%?
It's the Zoran people.
It's the Zoran people. Yeah, I think that's right. I completely agree with that, and I
but
I do
wasn't that
think they
Bernie?
have the heat.
Like
No,
that.
but this is a new thing. This is a
like
new
that's
thing.
those people are not. These are people who.
Yeah, I agree. I think
the
you're right.
millennial generation that was elevated to do exactly this kind of politics. They were trained to do this kind of politics at the most elite schools, like in the world. Like it's just a different set of. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think people on the right underestimate how much, like, if you talk to a leftist about their view of the Democratic Party, it's so different than if you talk to a person on the right. Like, if you talk to a person on the right, they'll say, Zoran and the communists are coming and they're taking over everything. If you talk to, like, one of the DSA Zoran people, they're like, the DNC is a complete capitalist machine that, like, ices us out at every level. And, like, super delegates are a great example where the Republican Party is set up where someone like Trump can take over because there's no superdelegates. So if someone just surges organically, they can take over the whole party. But on the Democratic side, this kind of happened with Bernie, where that 5% energy was really strong on the Bernie side, and they just crushed him with superdelegates and basically like gave Hillary the answers to the debate questions and whatever. We all remember those examples. And people on the left are like, yeah, we can never succeed in the DNC framework. You know?
I will say, I mean, I was at the last DNC. I was with Zoran during the campaign. I just think, they've had 8 years to plan this war. Like it's just a different scenario. This is when that happened in 2016, people were like, what the fuck? Like, wait, what? You can do that? Now that's what everyone talks about. Like even like all these people who are like uncommitted delegates are, like they had to learn the system in order to be able to get to Chicago as uncommitted delegates. They know the whole thing now. And like, there's going to be people outside of superdelegates' houses being like, you support genocide. And I could be wrong, but I would be really surprised if there isn't, given the current situation where it's like the two most salient things in the party are like data centers and Israel.
Yeah,
and
I think it will be. I think
Gavin's going to come in and be like, we're going to do a couple tax credits to like make it easier to build apartments in Fresno. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I see it. I don't.
But Gavin knows this though. Gavin must know this, right? So he's going to figure out a way to come in and be that's what he does. That's what Gavin does.
He's
not going to play it centrists. He's going to play it far left, I think.
Yeah, but he thought Trump was going to do the realignment, right? So he already did that podcast where he brought on Charlie Kirk and stuff. And so so his tack to the left is going to be hard because he already made a bet on like this.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. But I do think that's what he's going to do because he smells blood and he's a shark, right? He's going to go to the blood.
But Democrats, that's like, they're just not like Republicans. Like Trump just wanted to be able to do corruption and like make a ballroom and like but he still let in Tulsi and Joe Kenton people. Like he still like I'm quoting I'm quoting a lobbyist very close to the administration when I say that. He was just like, everyone screwed everything up because like it was just supposed to be corruption and like gold leaf, and like everyone made it into this other like philosophical thing, and like it like made the administration really hard. My point being that like Republicans
I don't know about that.
I'm kidding. I'm just saying they still let in Joe Kent and Tulsi Gabbard and like RFK to like build a coalition and stuff. Like Democrats don't really do that. Democrats are like, you said the president's old, get out. Like what? And then like it'll be another thing. Like it's not this thing of like, oh, Newsom, like he wasn't our guy, but he tacked this way. That's not really how the party works. It's not.
So
really
what do
how
you
the-
mean though? Like how does it work? Like how will it handle that?
It works as purity tests.
Yeah, okay. So he will not be pure enough.
I don't think he will be pure enough for like what's coming.
Wow.
He's pure enough for like
That seems like a flaw though, more than anything. Right?
Well,
That seems like a more
huge
like a
strength.
negative.
Huge strength for Democrats for a long time, and now it's going to be a flaw.
Now
Because
it's going to be a
people
flaw, right?
rift. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're too far. They're a little
And-
too far.
And Trump's not going to be on the ballot.
Well, and they're not going to have the Jew money, and the Jew money
Well,
is
no,
a lot.
It's
of
going to be
money.
worse. No, it's going to be worse than that. There's going to be pro-Israel money backing someone, and there's going to be a temptation for on the part of people like Newsom to take it, and then
No,
you're going to have.
he's too smart for that. And also, by the way, the Jews are way too smart for that. They'll launder the money through things you could never even imagine. Like it won't be obvious. It will definitely not be obvious.
You
that
guys
Newsom's
gave
taking
Barry
this.
Weiss $300 million.
Excuse me,
to run
it's not
propaganda
you
on
guys,
Broadway
by the
It's
way.
me,
It is
guys.
absolutely not you guys.
For me, it is.
Literally
It's
Mom
for
of the magazine.
Denzel, yes. Not
Mom of
for
the
me.
magazine.
I'm on the side of America first and only. I really am. I know people don't believe me, but it's
Okay.
really true. So no, I do not give a fuck about that.
Yeah, I'm
All
just
I'm trying to
saying-
tell you is they will find a way to give money to Newsom and
They
not
will
have
find
it
a way,
be that.
but it's just they're running out of rope with that, dude. Like it's like okay, we're gonna.
How are they going to find out? They won't. People won't be able to find out. It'll be some random pack, you know.
People saw the Barry thing. People saw the Thomas Massey
Well,
thing.
of course, because
People
they're fine.
see that like
yeah,
Dave
those were
Ellison
obvious.
is gonna like
though.
buy all of Hollywood and have it be like.
But
like,
what do you?
like-
what is the
like
what did the
Rabbi-
Democrats do though?
Rabbi
Yeah.
is super. like,
But what is somebody's going to take that money, right? Like the James
I'm just saying,
Carvels
you're gonna do
and like
that, and then
those
you're gonna be
groups.
fucked. That's gonna be a poison pill, and that's gonna be tough.
Wait,
But I think the
Harrison, what
same
were
on
you
the
just
right,
asking?
right?
What were you just asking?
Well, no, I'm just saying like somebody, like he said, somebody's gonna have to take it. It's just hard to turn down money. And on the right, Adelson money.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
probably all go to
Dumb
the right
money,
because
big,
they
big-
are dumb. They are dumb. The Israel money is dumb. You forget they're mostly brown.
yeah,
They're
you
mostly
keep-
brown people.
You keep saying
They're not
like,
very smart. Like
no.
they really don't know what to do in most instances. There will be really, really, really smart ones though who end around to. They will figure out how to end around to Newsom. They'll figure that out.
Isaac, I just think you're operating in a paradigm that's not gonna be. This isn't gonna be the way that stuff worked before. Is not how this is gonna go.
Okay, so
Like-
even fine, even take all this. Even if the Jews do not figure out how to give money to the opposition, they will at the very least not give money to the DSA, right? Like it's all the kids of the Jews that run the DSA.
Well, Soros.
Their
and them
dads are
give
not
money
going to
it.
fund that shit. They're not going to give the money to it.
Dude, Jewish money is not monolithic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And-
definitely not. But now
So
it
I
is.
think
Now
the
it will
So
be.
Israeli
think
money
so.
is.
Pro-
But
Israeli
now it's
money,
go.
yeah.
But now Jewish money
Pro-Israel
is
money,
going to be.
sure, but that's like only half.
I
of the
don't
Jew
think
money.
any of these
Soros?
fucking Jews are going to give money to the left anymore. I think they're going
Dude,
to take
Soros-
I
it.
just
You're-
think
you're
I think
right.
you're crazy to think that's gonna matter.
Soros.
Like this is
I don't know.
not.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good at this stuff. I mean, you're right. But you're right. Maybe it's done. Maybe it's
to your
over.
point,
So
I would
Ronnie,
argue
like,
that
you
the
take
idea
how-
of the money spending, I would agree with like the massive budgets that are going into campaigns now. It is not the same as when the channels were more consolidated. I think it's harder now you can spend all the billions you want. I think you were going to still struggle if you don't have
Yeah,
for
guys, we're
message.
forgetting that like Kamala outspent Trump like massively. None of this really matters that much anymore.
Yeah,
The
I
sort
think
of like
I
super
do kind
PAC
of agree with
Citizens
that.
United world where elections are decided by, these like
Money. You think
The
that's
check.
not real
donors.
anymore?
That's
That's
over.
interesting.
You
Yeah,
know,
but they're just
it
you can
matters
throw all
in
the money you want.
Republican. Yeah, it matters in Republican. This is actually true. Like JD said this to me once. He was like, "You'd be surprised how many votes in Ohio are just swayed by like how much money you have, because there's a lot of boomers who still watch TV, right? But in a Democratic primary, I just don't like.
Oh yeah.
I don't see that. I think that's gonna really that was, 22. He was saying that we're gonna be 6 years of, broadcast TV like declining, and we're gonna be in a position. I mean, like people are gonna be so hungry to win this thing. It's gonna be against a weakened Republican Party. It's gonna be a bloodbath. You're not gonna have like a clear front runner.
So Pogue, it sounded like a little bit ago you almost were saying like you thought Tucker might run, or that was like on the tip of your tongue. Do you think he would be a good foil to this new Democratic alignment in
Well,
28?
the wild card here is like if people figure out like what this thing is, right? Like the wild card, because like the DSA thing, it's like I'm sympathetic to it. I tried to put this in my Zoran piece, and everyone said I was like an apologist for him. I'm sympathetic to like the job of politics right now is like people don't really understand anything about how things work. So like you need to do like an establishment replacement by any means necessary, and like they have their path, and it's almost like fine, just do that. That's cool. Like just keep doing that for a while, and then like something will be better. I almost don't even think like it matters who it is. But like they can't do any real stuff because like AOC, there's this great moment where AOC went to the Munich Security Conference and was like, so we got to make sure to keep the liberal international order going, but we got to save the liberal international order by making it more fair. And it's like, oh, the liberal international order is the dollar. Like the whole thing that makes it not fair is like what the order is. So like if you don't understand that, then you're not going to do any stuff. You're just going to like spend more money, and then it's going to keep the inequality is going to keep going, and everything's going to keep sucking. So that's not a left or right thing. What could happen, and what is happening right now because of Iran, is a bunch of people in politics are figuring out like, oh, like the left right stuff is just stupid. Like this is not actually the problem. And like in so much as and I don't mean that as like woke is fine or woke is bad. It's not the point. The point is just like big government, free market distinctions are not our problem. Our problem is state capital alignment and the use of the military to preserve that. And so if someone like a Ro Khanna, like a Tucker, was like, I'm running as a guy who's like, the left-right stuff is over. It's a relic of the Cold War. We're running against state capital alignment and the military-industrial complex. Could that person win? Honestly, maybe. Like that's the wild card in everything. Is like, depending on how bad this goes, depending on if like there's a big rubber stamp saying like the United States lost the war, that every single person in the establishment of the United States on both the Democratic and Republican side supported, and it caused massive global poverty and huge economic disruption in the United States. What happens then? It's hard to say, right? And so, like, I think there's a very good chance that there will be some kind of version of that, maybe not as extreme as what I just described, but something like that in the air, in which case, to me, like the idea of a Gavin Newsom running is absurd. I don't know what JD will do. I think JD's really good at doing this thing where he just has a long game. He has a really long game. And JD's really mad about the stuff that I just talked about. And he's really, really good at covering up how mad he is. And he's really, really good at winning elections that you kind of think he wouldn't. So there's a part of me that thinks that there's like a lane where no, it's not going to be Tucker. It's going to be JD who talked to Tucker and said, let me do this. let me talk to Ken Griffin. Let me talk to the Jews. Let me talk to everybody. Let me run as a kind of populist, but a pro-AI guy, and let me get in. And the promise will be that then he hits a button and all of it goes away. And I wouldn't discount that possibility either.
Well, what is that button? What's like step one of the button?
I don't know. Because like it's like what step one of the button is what they're doing right now. Like step one of the button is like you take over the Fed. And you bring the Fed back into alignment with imperial reality instead of like infinity fake money is how we drive the economy. And they're already doing that. And I don't know how much people know that. I think part of why Bessent has been successful at maybe like there's just more stuff changing at the Fed faster than like probably you might have thought was going to happen a few months ago. And like, I don't think anyone knows literally what their thinking on that is, outside of conversations very, very few people are privy to, and some things that are probably not said in conversation that much. I don't think necessarily like a lot of, whether it's Trump people or global asset holders, like, I don't think they have a huge knowledge of like how populist Bessent has been in the past. And so like what he and Worst might have talked about doing and like what the consequences, how they'll redound down the road. Like, I think a lot of those people are like, look, that's great. They're just like all about keeping the market up, but there might be other stuff going on. So that's one thing. And then the next thing would be like, you know, like, can you bring the actual like power of the security state and the military industrial complex and, you know, the tech sector, which is now functionally like part of those things, like, can you bring them under political control, in part by like just outlining how much they're not under political control now? Like, would a JD Vance presidency pursue something like that? Like, there's no evidence for that, but there's like no evidence. There's no evidence that he would tip his hand on that, you know? So it's just, it starts to get into weird stuff where I'm just speculating, but like, just, this is something that is out there. JD and Tucker like went to Sun Valley together once, and Tucker kind of like said the stuff I'm saying to him and was like, look around you, like, these are the people who did the stuff that screwed up your community. Like, this is what it really is. And that was like JD's radicalization moment. That's probably like ginned up. They probably like worked that up in order to tell reporters, but that's like literally what they offer as an explanation for like how he changed. And in so much as that's true at all, or like it describes like what the motivations are like, he's playing a long game, and like he probably like actually is doing that, and like probably has ideas of buttons that I'm not thinking of right now because I'm not the vice president, you know? And so like, I think he's probably pretty bummed, because I think there's a different version of the Trump administration where he like laid low for a while and then emerged and like got to hit the buttons, you know, and like he would like save Shut America, and now he probably won't win the election, you know? But I don't think if that's actually what's going on in people's heads, like, I don't think Tucker will run. I think he'll tease it. This is wild speculation, though. This is just from like conversations with people. This is, I don't, you know.
But what about Rubio? How does he play into it?
I just think the last Secretary of State to administer the American Empire is going to have a hard time. I just don't think the establishment candidate in this Republican Party in this administration is going to have a lot of chance getting out of a Republican primary, much less like becoming president. Maybe they'll pull something out of all this, but it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse from here right now.
Yeah, and I think there is some like, does JD have too much Trump stink on him at the end of the next 2 years? Rubio is clearly ambitious. I don't think anybody can deny the guy wants to be president. If I'm wrong there, then I would be very surprised. People are gonna give him money. That is a massive juxtaposition. And then you have homeboy in Florida. You have DeSantis that I think ends up becoming. I mean, he could become a kingmaker, at least in the mind of the Republican establishment of whatever it is. I don't know. The People's Choice will be interesting. I don't know. I think you just have too much hatred against the establishment. I think there is too much Trump backlash right now going into.
Well, I think the
2028.
kingmaker, the Rubio question is the kingmaker question, because like part of the question is by 2027, how much of Trump's kingmaker power is relevant to that primary? Like, does Trump still get to pick who the next guy is, or is he seen as like a late George W. Bush, lame
That's what I mean.
duck,
The stink
low
of MAGA is gonna, and I don't know if MAGA separates itself as a coalition. They go to JD maybe, but like the stink of Trump is gonna definitely impact. And that is
it's
where,
a little
I mean,
different than with Bush, though.
But
Like
look
if
at
you look
Tucker.
at the
But
if you
look
look
at
at the
Tucker, dude.
approvals with Bush and Trump, like Bush
Yeah,
very
but you can't-
gradually in the second term just lost like
I don't think you can compare these times because people like Tucker, and yeah, you know, I think you had big names. Obviously, you had like Limbaugh and stuff like that. But I don't think you had people like Tucker that were just Tucker. His whole little coalition with, with Megan and Candace and all that. Dude, the boomers love that shit. They eat it up. MAGA loves that stuff because that audience was always sort of they ate up conspiracy. They eat up, the anti-establishment stuff. They love this sort of fight, this existential fight that is against the Republican Party. I think that is like, even a Fox News guy loves the idea of like, yeah, these guys, I think there is a part of this that's like really. You have to. Those people are going to impact the views of a massive portion of the the political landscape, and I don't know, man. They like Ruby. They like JD. Obviously, Tucker and JD. That's like the whole thing. But I just don't know how you get. I don't know how Tucker swings like, no, buddy. Like, vote for the technocrats. These are the good guys. I don't know how he swings that and like he jives that message in 2 years. And I don't know. That's very interesting to me.
There's no way. I don't think. I mean, I think Steve or Tucker will run. And unless there's, I think I think they will have conversations with JD in advance. And there will be someone who runs as the anti-establishment person. And that person is the only person who has a real chance of winning. Like, unless there's something, because you're like, the only thing they have now is like, we're gonna run against woke, like a Rubio's like, I'm gonna run on American power and against woke, like, and
yeah, but if Rubio gets DeSantis and they say they're a little Florida couple and they're gonna be like policy driven, where the rubber meets the road, tangibly change your life, like we did for Floridians. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be, at least for the Republican Party. I am actually strictly just speaking from the right. I don't think that's a winning message for America. I don't think that wins them election, but I think that is the who takes the mantle in 2 years. I think JD has a very hard battle for that, even with
maybe
Tucker.
It's gonna be hard though, because by then like. The Trump is like, it's not, the Mad King stuff is not fake. Like I'll tell you, I like, my fiance is the White House correspondent. It's not fake. Like everything, we're losing the most important war America's fought in the post-war era, and everything he's doing is about like ballrooms and like the arch that he's gonna build like in Arlington National Cemetery. Like people don't like this shit. Like you're going to build a huge arch, like casting shadows over the graves of soldiers. Like people don't Republicans, it's just not going to hold together. And
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, that's it. I actually have to go, but sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just curious, like your like explanation of why this war is being lost at the moment, because like that's something that the whole thing to me seems unsettled. Like I definitely wouldn't say they're winning, but I would say like we haven't had American casualties. There seems to be geoeconomic factors that are weighing in here that are still being like the whole thing just seems up in the air, and I'm curious why you say like we're losing the worst war in however many years.
Because the fundamental basis on which like that whole system of the dollar works is the guarantee of supply lines. So if you have like an economy that produces nothing and is based on extracting like dollar denominated profits from all the people who do, well, you have to be able to say like no one can shut down the oil supply in the Persian Gulf because all of our stoves take 10,000 different inputs that we can't replace, right? So the whole like thing, and this is like built into American strategic doctrine, is like control the Persian Gulf but us. It's the Carter doctrine, you know. This goes back a long time, and particularly because like the only allies we truly have who send us their tribute via recycled assets are the Gulf countries. Like Iran could at this moment functionally level the Gulf countries, and we couldn't do anything about it because we've run through all of our stocks of interceptors, we've run through all of our stocks of long-range strike missiles. We don't have any ATACMS left. We have half our Tomahawks. I don't currently know what the stocks of interceptors are, but there's not a lot. And so like this whole thing of like Iran hits a thing and we intercept 3 things, and then Trump like goes ballistic. He's like, why the fuck are they doing that? I thought it's because like what they're doing is not trying to hit that base or not trying. It doesn't really matter. They're saying we can hit it and we're going to mess with you and you're going to use 3 more. All right, let's keep doing it. Okay, you want to try? Let's go. And the US is going, no, like seriously, chill. And every time we say we're going to escalate and then we don't, it's because, yes, we can destroy all their power plants. But the problem is we actually can't destroy whatever like production base or storage or all this stuff that they have for all those missiles. And so what we can't do is destroy their ability to level Kuwait. And so given current terms, and again, I'm not a military expert, but I follow this stuff pretty closely. Given current terms, the United States is going to retreat from the Persian Gulf. Like we're going to lose our bases. We're not going to be able to put guys back there. That's not the kind of thing that happened in Vietnam. This is something really different. This is something, a core American strategic interest, a core basis on which like the entire system works. Like we just lost control over. And like, it would actually be a radical change of circumstances for that not to be true. Like it's not like, okay, everybody calls it even now and like it could be fine. It's like that's the situation. The situation now is as bad as you could possibly imagine for like the structure of this thing. And maybe there's some weird miracle by which like we could make it not as bad. That's the reality. And like people don't really get that yet, but they're gonna. And so like, again, extrapolate that 2 years. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna be running against that. JD's in a good position with that because it was like he's the one guy who was like, "It's not a good idea." But like, it could also be, you know, like when Besant came in, he said bond yields at 5% is like where he didn't say this, but people interpreted his words to think that like if bond yields hit 5%, like that's kind of like where America breaks. That's where like the people who keep sending the money that basically we use to finance the bonds that allow us to keep the debt party going and stuff. Well, eventually you get to a point where you're like printing so much money to keep the money coming in that like your debt starts to go up so much that they stop wanting to finance it. And then the bathtub just starts to drain because like then it just triggers your capital flight. And so all the fake money, both that's like financing the debt and that's lifting the markets, just goes away at once. And like that's That was built into the Bretton Woods system. People were like, don't do this. Like, this is a dangerous way to set something up. And then we doubled down on it in the 70s. And like Besant's whole thing when he came in was like, well, we could have a Tiffin dilemma crisis. Like, let's peel back from this. And they were like, no, let's do AI and run straight towards it. And then we did a war, like in the place that was keeping it going. So that's the scenario.
So you're saying so we have the system doesn't, because the cash is printed, it's based on the energy. The cash is protected basically by the might of our military. We have to continue to fight and grow the military industrial complex, basically protect our debt. People won't buy our debt unless we own oil. We own oil by the might
there's
of
an
our
easier way to look
empire.
at it. So imagine, just functionally speaking, we don't produce that much stuff, right? Other guys produce a lot of stuff. We need to be able to like finance stuff and buy stuff, right? So, and they need us to be able to do that, because if we didn't do that, then they wouldn't be able to sell as much stuff. So like we supercharged the whole system basically by adding a lot of fake money. And like we added a lot more fake money than normal after 2008, which created this big problem, because the liquidity in the system, when we talk about dollars, that's treasury debt.
Right.
And so like you create this massive incentive for more treasury debt to supercharge the system. Then when you're in debt and your whole economy depends on rich people spending money and an AI bubble, you really have an incentive to produce more debt. Okay, well, all of a sudden you're producing so much debt that the people financing the debt, who are the same people putting all the money on the market, not all, but the same people juicing the market by sending their profits back, they're like, well, fuck, like we don't want to keep buying the bonds. And then if nobody wants to keep buying the bonds, the yields go up. And then they start looking at that and they're like, wow, like the markets there aren't going to keep going up forever. So like, why do we have all our money in their markets? And then you create a run on this massive bubble pyramid debt problem thing. And I'm not saying literally this will happen, but like this is what's called the Tiffin dilemma. This is a classic problem for reserve currency countries. This is like the thing that everyone's trying to not do. And what we did was like make a leverage bet that put us right on the edge of it. So, and then start a war. like not, it's just, it wasn't necessarily like how you would plan this if you were thinking. And that, so I don't know, that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, we can talk about politics, but I just think things are going to be different. And because even if this doesn't happen, what I'm talking about, like, we're going to be on the edge of stuff where like it's just going to be hard to do things that make people happy. It's going to be hard to spend money. Like you're not going to be able to like give people goodies in the same way. You're not going to be able to like go fight a war and it's fine. You're going to start losing more wars because the bond market's just going to tell you like, go the fuck home. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. And the Tiffin dilemma, if you're a retard like me, is an economic paradox stating
it might have been Triffin, sorry, but yeah.
Triffin dilemma, sorry. Yeah, is an economic paradox stating the country whose national currency serves as the global reserve currency, the US dollar, must run persistent trade deficits to supply the world with liquidity. So we have to constantly, this threatens the long-term stability and value of that currency. So we have to constantly be printing our money in order to create the liquidity, because they have to use our currency to settle their energy debts, essentially. And now because of AI, the energy debt is, we essentially, if we don't own the oil, and so we go to an Iran and we're like, we'll help out Israel, but we're going to own the oil. And then Iran's like, no, we'll just fight this out with drones until your fucking shitty military is destroyed.
Yep.
Or you can't fight back. So we're just losing, and they got the oil and we're the bitch basically right now.
Yep.
Because by the way, all those AI contracts are signed. Like that's the craziest part. Like they've already committed like $500 trillion or something.
Yeah. But that's
or whatever.
But also, like the Saudis have committed trillions of dollars. The Saudis have committed literally $1 trillion to recycle back largely into that kind of thing. But Iran could, like, this is what they did in Dubai. They were just hitting Dubai over and over and over until the UAE, who knows what they really did, but until the UAE, there were some conversations, right? But like, they could end Dubai as a financial center. And like, when Dubai was kind of like, well, we're gonna seize all the shadow banking stuff that we do for you. Iran was like, fine, who cares? Like, whatever. We've been cut out of the global economy forever. And like, they can do that with Saudi. Saudi lost a war to the Houthis. Like, it's just, they can put these people in the grave. Like, and so, and we just didn't, you know, a lot of people didn't know that. Like, it sucks because there's like a ton of like not well paid military analysts who tweet all the time, or who you can talk to in DC, who are like, oh yeah, we should really not start a war with Iran because like the math is really bad. And like, you know, people told that to Trump, but they were just scared of Trump. Everybody's just scared of Trump. And so like they told it in really delicate ways. And he was like, fuck it, let's do it. And it's the most boomer mindset ever. You know, it's just like, it's America. Like, we'll figure it out. And this was just the line where like everything, it was like reality suddenly hit, you know? I have to go though. I have a dinner. But
James Pogue, thanks so much. We'd love to have you on
thank
again.
you
That was
so
great.
much.
That was
there
the
anything you wanna
smartest
plug?
episode we've ever had.
Yeah. Do you want to plug anything real quick?
Well, I someday soon, hopefully, I have a best in profile coming on the New York Times. I just turned it in, so fingers crossed, knock wood, whatever.
Nice.
But I'm trying to explain all this, so check.
If
that
for
out.
any reason the New York Times doesn't want to publish it, Mama would be happy to take that profile.
We got it.
Also.
We got it. All right, thanks,
Nice.
guys.
See ya.
Thank you, James. Awesome.